It makes sense to start with the package for Dila. An ordinary delivery instantly turns into evidence because the house is already living under suspicion. If even such a small detail launches a chain of checks, then in the next episode any disappearance, call, or delay will be read as proof of a secret conspiracy. When Asya is cornered because of the item that was found, what matters is not the jacket itself, but how quickly the accusation appears. The household first looks for the guilty person inside, so next, most likely, whoever happens to be near a new secret will come under fire, even if they are not the main participant. Hassan's brief confession about Yusuf triggers the main conflict. Dila's secret stops being a romance and becomes a family matter. After that, in the next episode, we should expect the discussion to be less about love and more about who hid the truth and who will answer for it. Yusuf enters not as a random lover, but as someone who deliberately chooses a public blow. He talks about honesty and immediately asks for Dila, so his storyline will probably continue through his attempt to look righteous, even when everything around him points to calculation. Sarp's reaction shows that for him, this is not just his sister's choice, but an invasion of the house. Since he immediately moves to threats and humiliating Yusuf, the most logical thing to expect is that next he will attack not Dila's feelings, but Yusuf's status and money. Sarp's question about who knew is more important than the scandal itself. He instantly looks not only for the guilty person, but also for a traitor beside him. So in the next episode, suspicion will most likely turn him even more strongly against Hassan. Dila confirms her relationship with Yusuf right in front of the family, closing the way back. After such a scene, it will be hard for her to hide behind silence again, which means she will probably start acting more sharply, especially if she feels she is being locked up or decided for again. When Sarp declares that the partnership is over, the conflict immediately moves beyond the family. Now Yusuf is not only Dila's fiancé to him, but also a business enemy. So in the next episode, we should expect a blow against their joint business, documents, or reputation. Yusuf's conversation with Khmer reveals that his move was not only romantic. He himself says he dropped the bomb before Hassan could blow everything up first. That means Hassan remains the main risk to his plan, and he will be forced to react specifically to her actions. Dila's argument with Sarp shows that she no longer accepts the role of a little girl. Her line about understanding what she is going through suggests that in the next episode, Dila will cling to her decision not because she has thought everything through, but because backing down would look like surrender. Dila shifts the conversation from Yusuf to an old resentment toward her family, and that changes the nature of her choice. If marriage becomes a way for her to break out of the house, then any pressure from Sarp will only push her closer to Yusuf, even if doubts appear. Sarp answers Dila with his own trauma, and literally shows the place where their father died. This scene explains why he will continue to see control as care, not violence. The most likely move is that he will try to hold Dila by force again, and by doing so, only strengthen her escape. Dila's request to be allowed to live her own life no longer sounds like a request, but like a boundary. After this, she will most likely see any family decision against Yusuf as an attack on herself, and in the next episode, she may choose not a conversation, but an escape or an ultimatum. The conversation between Arzu and Shengul matters because the fear is already moving from the Kuzulhan house into Hassan's circle. They speak directly about the edge and the danger, which means the next episode may begin not with the joy of an engagement, but with the search for whoever will snap first. Zuda asks Hassan what she was doing in a strange man's house, and this is the first precise blow to her version. If Hassan decides to interfere further, she will have to do more than argue with Dila. She will have to explain her own connection to Yusuf, which she has been hiding far too nervously. Sarp receives proof through Safet and immediately promises to kill Yusuf. What matters here is not only the threat, but the fact that Sarp acts on fragments of information. In the next episode, he may lose control again if he sees a piece of the truth without waiting for the full picture. The warning to Hassan sounds almost official. Sarp says that next time, he will look not at the intention, but at the result. So if her new move leads to a disappearance, a scandal, or the disruption of the evening, Sarp will most likely accuse her without long explanations. In the fight with Yusuf, Sarp demands an answer for honor, while Yusuf restrains himself and speaks about future family meetings. This is how Yusuf tries to take the position of a calm fiancé. Next, he will probably use restraint as a weapon against Sarp's outbursts. Yusuf's line that Sarp will lose Dila if he prevents the marriage works later on. So in the next episode, he may press exactly on this family fear again. If you do not allow it peacefully, she will leave for good. That is stronger than any romantic promise. Dila's conversation with Shangul shows that for Dila, a wedding means her own rules and her own home. If she is shown Yusuf's real house or the conditions of her new life, the first sober conflict may be born there. Freedom will turn out not to be as beautiful as the dream. Zuhur cuts Shangul off from talking to Dila and calls everything an internal family matter. That kind of isolation is dangerous. The fewer calm mediators Dila has, the greater the chance that in the next episode she will listen only to Yusuf or to whoever happens to be nearby first. Dila reproaches Yusuf over the phone for doing everything without her consent. This is the first crack in their beautiful decision. Most likely, Dila will next be torn between gratitude for his courage and resentment that she was once again presented with the fait accompli. The proposal over the phone and Dila's acceptance give Yusuf a quick result, but the form itself is too rushed. If you like this kind of breakdown, leave a like and subscribe. As for the plot, the most logical next step here is that the engagement will move too fast, and that very haste will expose other people's plans. Hazan says directly that she will stop this marriage and do whatever comes to mind. This is no longer jealousy floating in the air, but a declared program of action. So in the next episode, the main obstacle to the evening will most likely come not from Sarp, but from Hazan. Dila asks Hazan to be by her side and calls her the only one who understands. What hurts in this scene is that Dila is seeking support from the person who has just decided to destroy her choice. Next, Hazan's betrayal will strike not only the marriage, but also their closeness. Usta puts Yusuf in his place and says that he is the one in control. That means the marriage with Dila is not just Yusuf's personal matter for the older man, but part of a larger plan. In the next episode, he will probably make sure Yusuf's feelings do not destroy the calculation. The memory of revenge through the tickets shows that Yusuf has long been inside someone else's strategy. After that, any independent move of his looks dangerous to Usta. If Yusuf swerves again because of Hazan or Dila, the older man may intervene much more harshly. Usta warns that the slightest mistake will allow the Kizilhans to sit on Yusuf's neck. So the next episode will probably be a test precisely for that mistake. Can Yusuf maintain the image of a confident fiancé when Hazan starts pulling him toward the past? Safet tells Sarp that the neighborhood is boiling over because of the leaflets. This makes the conflict two-level: Dila inside the house, the neighborhood outside. In the next episode, Sarp will have to choose where to run first, and this very spreading thin may weaken his control. When Sarp locks Dila up and takes her phone, he confirms the family's worst fear. Control becomes physical. This decision almost directly leads to an escape. From here on, any words from Sarp about care will sound weaker to Dila than the memory of the locked door. Yusuf and Kamer's conversation about money for the family reveals the weak spot in Yusuf's mask. He wants to help his own, but cannot explain the source. In the next episode, the question of where the money comes from may begin to shake his legend in front of his loved ones. Kamer says that the neighborhood now talks about Yusuf as a hero. This gives Yusuf grassroots support that Sarp does not have. So Sarp's next move will most likely be aimed at bringing the neighborhood back under his control and destroying the image of Delikanli. Sarp hears about Delikanli and immediately decides to open the coffee house as a point of influence. This is not a spontaneous idea, but an attempt to place his own man on the street. In the next episode, the neighborhood storyline will probably become a direct clash between Sarp and Yusuf's invisible network. Sarp's line about the missing Delikanli shows that he has already taken the challenge personally. He does not know who is standing against him, but he wants to find a face. His next mistake may be that he will look for one hero while an entire group is working against him. Dila comes to Yusuf with her passport and asks to leave, even to Italy. This detail shows that escape is no longer just an image for her, but a ready option. In the next episode, she may choose another radical step if the family or Hazan ruins the evening. Yusuf refuses to marry without the family's consent, even though Dila asks for a secret marriage. This strengthens his image as a proper man, but at the same time leaves Dila in a house where she can be pressured again. Next, he will have to answer for the consequences of his own righteousness. The servants discuss that Hazan hid the truth from Sarp, and even joke that she might be thrown out. Such conversations rarely remain downstairs. In the next episode, gossip may become fuel for a new blow from Sarp against Hazan. Gonca tells Sarp about the pregnancy, and his first reaction is not about the child, but about his own problem. This scene adds a hidden bomb. In the next episode, Gonca may become the person who strikes Sarp and Hazan's marriage from an unexpected side. Sarp demands that Gonca resolve everything tomorrow and threatens her family. But Gonca's last line after he leaves sounds like a promise not to back down. That means she will most likely look not for Sarp's permission, but for a way to force him to acknowledge the child. Zahra herself stops Sarp and demands that he let Dila out, because she is afraid of losing her daughter. This turn matters. The family begins to understand that harshness is working against them. In the next episode, Sarp will have to hold back, but his irritation will not disappear. Zurha's condition about Yusuf sounds like a forced capitulation. If Dila is with him, they will have to allow the marriage. That means Yusuf receives an extremely powerful lever, while Sarp receives humiliation he may later try to compensate for through the neighborhood or Hazan. Yusuf brings Dila back and speaks about the family as if he is saving the situation. But Hazan immediately questions his role, reminding everyone that Dila ran away because of him. In the next episode, Hazan will attack this weak point. Is he the hero or the cause of the disaster? Sarp privately asks Dila whether she wants the marriage or is doing it out of spite. This is one of the rare moments where he tries to talk rather than pressure. If he later sees that Dila has doubts, he may use this very question against Yusuf. Sarp threatens Yusuf through Dila's future tears, then admits that there is still time before the signatures. This pause between consent and the official step will become the battlefield. Most likely, the next episode will stretch out precisely this narrow gap. The family agrees to tomorrow's formal visit, but asks who Yusuf will come with. His answer about not having a family leaves an empty space. This may become a vulnerability later. The Kazilhans will look not only at Yusuf, but also at who stands behind him. Immediately after the agreement, Hazan attacks Sarp with questions about Yusuf and money. She is the only one who directly voices the theory of calculation. In the next episode, she may try to prove it not with words, but with an action that ruins the evening and forces everyone to choose a side. In the morning, Hazan leaves, supposedly on business, and promises an unforgettable night. This is almost a direct hint at a prepared disruption. After such a line, it is logical to expect that her disappearance is not accidental, but a move chosen in advance against Dila and Yusuf's engagement. Usta calls Yusuf's mercy his weak point, while Yusuf tries to turn it into strength. In the next episode, this is exactly what will be tested. If Hazan plays on pity or a threat to herself, it will be hard for Yusuf to remain only a cold participant in the plan. Khmer asks about Hazan, and Usta immediately notices the direction of the conversation. This means that people around Yusuf already sense the danger of his past. Next, any call from Hazan will become not a small personal matter, but a risk to the entire scheme Usta holds in his hands. Yusuf takes the news that Sarp is reopening the coffee house as the opponent's final spasms. Such overconfidence may cost him dearly. In the next episode, Sarp may, on the contrary, seize the initiative precisely through the neighborhood location. Marat is placed in charge of the coffee house as a convenient face for the street. But he is appointed not for strength, but for controllability. That means Marat may be thrown between two sides. Sarp uses him as a signboard, while the neighborhood tests whose man he really is. Sarp looks at Dila in her outfit and still says that Yusuf does not deserve her. In other words, the family's consent has not removed his inner prohibition. In the next episode, one mistake from Yusuf will be enough for Sarp to return to the fight, now under the guise of protecting his sister. Sarp asks where Hazan is and immediately predicts big trouble. This is not random jealousy, but the memory of all her threats. When she disappears completely, he will most likely be the first to connect it not with danger, but with an attempt to ruin the evening. Yusuf shows Dila the future house, and she admits this is not the life she expected. This is the first everyday crack in their fairy tale. Next, Dila may begin comparing the dream of freedom with Yusuf's reality, and that will give Hazan a new reason to apply pressure. At the meeting with the neighborhood, Sarp tries to speak as an heir, but the people answer with Delikanli's name. This is a direct blow to his authority. In the next episode, he will probably start looking not for compromise, but for the person who dared to become the hero instead of him. Sarp demands that Delikanli be found and brought to him. This line narrows the neighborhood storyline into a hunt. Next, he may make a mistake, because he will look at an external enemy while the real person connected to him is already nearby through Dila and Yusuf. Hazan comes to the old place and tells Yusuf that it used to be her shelter. She is not arguing about money or Dila. She is bringing him back into their shared memory. In the next episode, her bet will most likely be not on logic, but on the past. Yusuf shouts that Hazan was the one who went to Sarp, while she reads his anger as love. This is a dangerous knot. The harder he pushes her away, the more she believes she is right. So her next step may become even sharper, because she does not accept rejection. Hazan says directly that Sarp means nothing to her, while Yusuf reminds her of his engagement to Dila. Here the conflict finally becomes a triangle, in which Dila still knows nothing. In the next episode, Dila's ignorance may become the most painful blow. Yusuf's mother is certain that she saw her son, but no one believes her. This scene prepares another line of revelation. Yusuf's past may come out not through enemies, but through relatives who begin to notice the inconsistencies around Delikanli and the expensive car. Yusuf's argument with Mert shows that his family is already standing on the fault line of the neighborhood. He warns his brother that one day they may end up against each other. That means Mert may become the person through whom Sarp, or the coffee house, strikes Yusuf personally. At home, Yusuf's mother again insists that she recognized her son, while the children argue about whether he could be living a new life. This is not a closed scene, but preparation for exposure. In the next episode, any new meeting or rumor about Delikanli may push the family toward the truth. Zuhur tries to reach Hazan, while Dila says she will not speak to her for now. This means Hazan disappears exactly at the moment when her bond with Dila is almost broken. If she returns later, it is unlikely to bring reconciliation. Khmer clearly sees that Yusuf is being pulled back toward Hazan and warns him about Usta's reaction. This is a strong clue. Yusuf's problem is not only his enemies, but the fact that his own feelings may be noticed before he admits them to himself. Usta sings about a bird in a cage and says not to mix up the girl. He is essentially hinting that he knows about the two women in the house. In the next episode, he may begin pressuring Yusuf with exactly this knowledge. Dila is needed for the plan. Hazan interferes with the plan. Khmer reports that the neighborhood already loves Delikanli, but after Usta leaves, he himself says there is something wrong with him. This is an important double danger: victory outside, distrust of the mentor inside. Next, Yusuf will have to watch not only Sarp. Sarp and Tahsin connects Delikanli with Miran and admit that they will have no peace without him. So the neighborhood conflict in the next episode will probably move along the line of searching for Miran, or the person behind the leaflets, not only the engagement. When the family realizes Hazan is not answering, Sarp explodes because he found out late. His reaction shows that he again sees someone else's silence as betrayal. Next, Hazan's disappearance will become a personal insult to him, not just a cause for worry. Arzu immediately asks whether Hazan and Yusuf ran away together. This is not proof, but it is a very precise direction of fear. If that thought is already coming to those around them, then in the next episode, one call or delay from Yusuf may turn suspicion into an open scandal. Before they leave, Usta again tells Yusuf not to do him wrong. Formally, this is a blessing, but in tone it sounds more like a warning. So if Yusuf breaks away to go to Hazan, the consequences will be not only within the family, but also inside his own team. Hazan's call is built like a trap. She names the place, talks about the end, and asks him to come within an hour. Yusuf does not believe her at first, but the doubt has already been planted. In the next episode, he will most likely end up between the road to Dila and fear for Hazan. Usta hears only part of the conversation and praises Yusuf for his harsh answer. But the viewer already knows that the problem is not closed. If Yusuf does go, he will break not only his promise to Dila, but also Usta's invisible order not to leave the route. At the house, Dila accuses Hazan of taking away her only happy day. This resentment is dangerous because Dila still does not know about the call to Yusuf. If the truth about the meeting comes out, the blow will land on both Hazan and Dila's trust in Yusuf. The repetition of Hazan's words that everything will end today sounds like the final hook. She herself shifts the story from jealousy into the threat of disappearance. So the next episode will probably begin with a race. Who gets to her first, and what exactly they see. Safet quickly finds Hazan's car through the tracker, and Sarp leaves without alerting anyone. This decision may become a new explosion. He is going not to talk, but to catch someone. If Yusuf is there, Sarp will get the picture he has already decided on in advance. Yusuf is already unreachable, and this is the simplest but most dangerous sign for Dila. She may still think he is on his way, but it is obvious to the viewer. His silence has coincided with Hazan's disappearance. In the next episode, this call will become the first proof of doubt. Dila cries before the engagement and still asks whether the evening might be cancelled. This makes her the weak point of the whole intrigue. If Yusuf does not arrive on time, or a rumor about Hazan appears, Dila may see for the first time that her celebration is built on someone else's unresolved story. Yusuf comes to Hazan and is angry that she dragged him there with a threat. But the very fact that he came already works against him. In the next episode, Hazan will most likely cling to exactly that. If he came, it means he chose her, even if he says otherwise. Hazan demands that Yusuf stop lying to Dila and threatens to die if he leaves. This is no longer a conversation about love, but blackmail that can crush all three of them. Next, Yusuf will have to either save Hazan or risk Dila and the engagement. Yusuf's final line that Hazan needs to come to her senses does not close the scene, but leaves it at its sharpest point. Most likely, the next episode will continue right here. Sarp is approaching, Dila is waiting, Usta is watching, and Yusuf is facing a choice that will destroy someone's plan.
Hindi na ako iyo, nakalimutan mo na ba ang mga pangako sa ilalim ng puno ng nara? Dati-rati